question is, when did you become involved with Valley's Kids?
Oh my goodness. January 1979. I moved from social services to probation, and Margaret and Richard were already there, as was Howell, who was establishing a intermediate treatment project. And I think he actually had 6 months left of a job creation that Margaret took advantage of. And I think Richard was working with Ron Jones for further education. Got it right?
Yeah.
So yes, and what I had been doing in social services, even though it was within admin, I had been volunteering and taking kids away, and some of those kids were very heavy and with challenges in their lives, not in criminal. And taking them away made me realise how little experience there was out there for those sort of young people. And one of the young people that came away with that, we went to St David's. One of the young people actually attempted suicide when he came back. And, you know, I mean, it was serious stuff that wasn't being acknowledged at the time. So they were dealing with the surface rather than the cause of why young people were. And at the time, there was very little youth work. There needed to be something between school and social services. And for me, that was what we started doing.
Right, okay. So then, when you joined, so what was your job? What did you start doing? So when you did join Valley's Kids then, what kinds of things did you start doing?
Well, there was a basement there which had been a coal cellar, and it was made into a private space for the kids. So it was working with kids who were referred by social services and probation, but also it opened up to the peer group, because they were as much at risk as the ones that were referred. But we had experiences of, I mean, there's one lady now who's a granny with a number of grandchildren, but she was on probation for 3 years for nicking a pint of milk on the way to school. You know, it was ridiculous the way they were dealing out the punishments and that. So through the Wales Intermediate Treatment Forum, Howell was trying very hard to change things, and we, as in Margaret, Richard and myself, we did do things for Whitford. We went to the conference and talked about what we were doing, and so there's already the start of progressing, but certainly on behalf of the kids, not. And the police were ready to swoop. I mean, in those days, they'd book you for anything. It really was a challenging time to be young, and with no alternative than hanging around the streets.
Yeah. So, why, or has Valley's Kids been important to you as a person?
I think it actually was answering the questions I was asking about that need for something in between. There wasn't anything. There also wasn't youth work. I mean, when I went to youth club, I had to make a dress. I had to do sewing, which didn't please me at all. And you had 10 minutes where you could talk to the boys, and then home. And it was so boring. That what I felt strongly was it was the young people would tell you what they want as well, but that basically what they want is a pub without beer. And from there, they could start coming to that, and from there things grow, projects grow, as you've already experienced. You don't plan the project comes through your engagement with young people.
Yeah. Right, so I've talked about Valley's Kids is important to you. How is Valley's Kids was and is important in the communities that they're in?
I think that the philosophy behind Valley's Kids is that it's community owned. So we didn't develop a programme that we thought was appropriate. We developed a programme that the community wanted. So whenever anything developed, it came from the local people. I mean, the first thing was the parents and toddler group. People were desperate for something. And if you saw what it started as, I don't know, we'll be allowed to open today.
Yeah.
Can I say that?
Yeah. So you can explain how it started as well.
Yeah. It's Howell's wife, Eilis, and Ruth Hopkins became volunteers. They had young babies and they came up every week by train and made it happen. But it was very basic, but much needed. And it was that, like we have a family support team that really, in those days, would have been really useful because there wasn't anything, and we were still making relationships with partner agencies. And I think that's what's been important for Valley's kids, is that we have had really positive, active relationships with our partner agencies. So health visitors, district nurses, social workers. None of what we did would have happened if we hadn't worked together to do it, because you're all working with the same people. But what we had was a social side to what we did. And when you identified any challenges, there was always somewhere to signpost or set something up within the organisation that could do that.
Yeah. Cool. Just quickly tell, because obviously you started in Penyrenglyn, and then I know you from Penyrenglyn, and then you went on to Rhydyfelin. So do you want to just quickly talk about Penyrenglyn and Rhydyfelin?
Yeah. So there came a point, I took some time out, went to college for, I think it took out a year of my life really, but because I was home as much as I was in college, but it gave me the piece of paper to say I could do what I've been doing for the past 10 years. And it helped my confidence to know that I was good at what I did. And I think the fact that you like kids helped that. So when I came back from college, we were putting different bids in, and we put one bid into the lottery. At that point I was paid by social services through Urban Aid, which was a community work post. And as you know, we juggle with money in Valley's Kids, so if there's other money available, it complements what you're doing. So we put in a lottery bid, and Bridges Community Support Scheme was established. And part of the remit for that was to identify 2 other areas to work intensively in, like Penyrenglyn. And so, I think it was something like 10 outreach areas that we would give more commitment to. So we were successful with that, and in the first play scheme, before that, we targeted Rhondda, and I think we had something like 3,000 kids attended the summer play scheme provision just in the Rhondda, and it was very successful. And we had a mobile team who went here, there and everywhere. If there was a building, they'd be in the building. If there wasn't, they'd be in the park. And from vans, and I mean, you've seen it. So all sorts of different ways of delivering, but making relationships and engaging with the local people so that you could identify gaps. It helped us to identify, we were already working in Penyrenglyn, just not as busy as we eventually became. So that was one of the areas that was going to be on the wish list. But yeah, so what we started doing there then was action research. So by doing the play scheme that summer, we were able to talk to people in all areas, so they would tell us what they thought the need was. And lo and behold, the only problem any of them had were the young people. If the young people weren't there wouldn't be any problem. Surprise, surprise. And that was just tickled me, just this, you know. And I mean, there was nowhere for young people to go in those days. So Church Village was one of the other areas, but it just became impossible. There was a community education centre there that would have been ideal, but powers that be, it won't go happen. And there was only so much time you could waste trying to knock heads. And so the other area then we were asked to go in by social services was Rhydyfelin, and because of the high level of family need. And yeah, I mean, it was the place to go. It ticked all the boxes. We started off up in Elm Street and did a lot of work with the health visitors there, and did a sort of a mobile provision. We went up to Elan for some of it, which was quite challenging, but then we did move up to Elan, and I mean, it was hard work getting established there, but the need was so high. And what happened in both the areas and Penyrenglyn was that we established partnership networks. So our agency partners who we were working with all the time started meeting regularly to discuss the needs and the people that we were working with and how we could work together. And that was huge, because the people on the ground knew that was sensible, but the managers did not see the benefit of it. But it was a godsend, because you knew who you could refer to if you needed to refer. Planning activities was multi-agency then, so it wasn't just us doing it, it was us doing it with other partners. And that was the voluntary sector as well as the statutory sector.
So you worked with Irish kids for a long time, so clearly you enjoyed doing the work that you do, yeah?
Loved every minute of it, which is why I didn't retire till 75.
Is there like a memory or something that sticks out, or something that or it's a project or something that you did that really proud of or something?
Oh, so many.
Yeah.
And it was the achievement of the community, or of staff, of volunteers, never ceased to amaze me. I mean, we did, the consultation was high on the agenda for all the bids we were putting in as well, but you know, it was on the back of the work that people were doing and the outcomes of that work. I mean, there's so many, there could be so many stories of, but you know, I can't think of one that's...
no, it's fine. You said
I might think of one, yeah, I might think of one later. I think one of the things that was good about it was that nothing was impossible. Margaret used to go mad sometimes because he's over enthusiastic as well, and you're never going to do that, and we did. If something was worth doing, then it was worth doing well, and people attached to that positive, so that if you said to somebody you were going to do something, they say impossible. But you know, it happened. It happened because you wanted it to happen, and because you had so much support. The community thought it was wonderful having, particularly when SOAR opened as well then. But because I was talking to Jill, because Jill is now, you know, her husband died, Jill Jones. Do you remember Jill Jones? Her husband was the councillor.
Yeah.
But she, I mean, we were working out how far back we go. And it was nearly at the beginning. It wasn't, you know, we were already at Penyrenglyn, but yeah, and we sort of laugh at. I mean, I think one of the achievements for me in confidence was when we started. Dennis started used to do pantomimes, and sometimes he used to get drunk before they went on stage, but you know, his heart was in it. And what I always felt was with pantomimes generally is that they're for an adult audience, not for a children's audience. So we decided to do children's shows. So we did Easter children's shows, which from Christmas until Easter took over my life. And they were amazing. And I mean, we used to have something like 100 cast, because everybody interviewed got in. But because we had the experience of Artie Farty Morgan, he had all that sort of knowledge of backstage scenery, effects. And I said that if we'd done another one, we would need a script. We could have just done it visually. But we used to be full, 7 shows a week. So I mean, there were a lot of people that came to it, and We had volunteers who built the stage. We had volunteer Anne Culverhouse did the scenic design and that. And we had, do you remember Kinkies? No, before your time. We had the Wicked Boys standing in the middle of the scaffolding with the scenery on, all through, and then turn him when they had to turn. And one of the worst ones on me, we had him under the stage, and there was a fluorescent light that came on once, but he had to stay under there all the time. And the dry ice was wet on the floor. Oh, it's only on me, okay.
Yeah, see, good stuff, isn't it?
Can you have to take all this out?
No, it's good.
I'll be arrested.
But we were only saying this morning that he's found, what was it, he found photos and stuff of your productions and stuff, so they can be kept. And
Well, that's where you've got to bring it, don't you?
Yeah, but there should be a lot here. I only had a few.
yeah, there's stuff with tickets in and stuff like that.
But when Lynn shrunk it down, I said, it means nothing to him, but anybody else looking at it could see.
Yeah.
It's a shame.
No, but it's good, because these, and again, it's all community stuff involved.
It means I got to get a box out of the spare room, which is full of everybody's photos.
Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose doing that was a lot for confidence as well in that. And I mean, the amazing talent of the volunteers who did, you know, they rehearsed the music, they rehearsed everything, they made the costumes, they spent 7 days a week helping to, you know, for it to happen. And even my mother came. And I can remember they were coming up the back for the last show, at the back of the chapel. And luckily I turned around. My mother was just about to walk into nothing. And she would have fallen. They were just... And I lost my cool. So the only one speaking to me behind stage at the very end was Kevin Roberts.
The safety wasn't the same, was it?
Yeah, he was my friend. Yeah, and I think seeing somebody like Kevin Roberts, he's an example of somebody that did well. I mean, he's done a degree, whereas when you first met him, he was tied to his mother too much, and so I mean, he did everything with me. I mean, he was my right-hand man. He was, I wouldn't have gone camping without him.